Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray. Thanks for listening to Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, your hostess with the mostest, or maybe not, I don't know, but we'll see. So today I've got a special guest on that I met him through Dan Plata. He was on a few podcasts back. And it was an interesting find. He was on his daily show, Beer, Bookkeeping, and BS not one night. And I literally in the middle of the show, in the comments said, I need to know Jonathan. And so Jonathan and I did a Zoom call the following Monday, struck up a good little friendship. I mean, where he's going to come to my cabin sometime this fall or before I go hunting and stuff. And he is a serial entrepreneur, owns or runs a convention type deal. He'll talk a little bit about. So let's bring him on. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So tell us a little bit of your own little elevator bio pitch and a little bit about you so we can know who you are.
Yeah, sure thing. So I own 4 different service companies specializing in, we have a power washing, soft washing company, a low voltage lighting, landscape lighting, Christmas light company, and I have an epoxy flooring company. And then I got investments in some other home service businesses, another soft washing company in Florida. Also, one of the owners of the huge convention, which is the premier convention for the home service industry, where we really focus on education, and I get to be the CEO of that as well. And just really a serial entrepreneur, always looking to grow our home service businesses, because my real focus is in customer service. And I really want to deliver that to our customers. For soft washing companies, we deliver legendary service experiences. So
cool.
Yeah,
where do you live?
We're in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is halfway between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, Virginia.
Yep. No, well, I went to Fort Lee, Virginia.
Yeah.
For AIT. and when I was a kid, we lived there a little bit too. But anyway, so great. So again, service business. This is whatever most people here are listening to it, own or are some part of a service business. So, what's your, you said customer service. So how is that your strength? Tell me about that.
Well, really, it's delivering on promises. I don't believe that at scale you can be the artisan that you are when you're a solopreneur. So when I started my soft wash company, it was me on the truck. I was out there washing things. And at scale, I realized that you're not going to be able to get things 100% right every time. And you're not going to be able to teach employees to do things exactly the way that you did it to the level and to have as much care for your company as you did as an owner. Now, they can get close and we can talk about employees and how to really motivate them to do that. So my thought was, if things aren't going to be perfect, and they're not, that you have to deliver an exceptional customer service experience. So when they call and get the quote, I'm not the person that answers a sales call. I haven't talked to a customer in over 2 years. So I have to make sure that my team is delivering on that brand promise that I built the company on. So it's over delivering. So whenever they call and get a quote, our salespeople are extremely friendly. They answer the questions. They call them back when they call. If they say, I'm going to call you at 2:00 on Tuesday, they call them at 2:00 on Tuesday. So they over deliver there. Then our technicians, when they arrive, they do the job. They've got a pre-walk around, a post-walk around, before and after pictures. They're really delivering on the experience that the customer is getting whenever we do the job. And then they're human. If something goes wrong, example, if they miss a spot, or if they do, we soft wash. So, harming plants is something that's inevitable. We do every precaution to avoid that, but it happens. So when something happens and the customer's not happy, which is probably 5% of our customers, so it's not a high volume, but we go over the top to make sure that they're taken care of. We're going to go back and we're going to fix it right away. We're not going to put it off or punt the ball or anything like that. So really it's that customer service piece that allows us to charge higher prices, because we can handhold them a lot more. So our profitability is higher than somebody that's charging a lower price, because we're delivering that experience. It's kind of like the difference between going to, a Red Lobster or a McCormick and Schmidt's. Okay, you're going to get seafood at both restaurants, but you're going to pay more at McCormick and Schmidt's because the atmosphere is better, the experience is better. The food, questionably, honestly, I think it probably better at McCormick and Schmidt's. I haven't eaten at a Red Lobster in probably 15 years, but I would guess that food is food, right? So if you're only comparing apples to apples and go, hey, we power wash, and then the customer's only making a decision based on price, then you're going to lose every time if it's just a price thing. So we don't even really talk about price as much as we talk about the experience you're going to get. And we tell them you're going to pay a little bit more, but we're going to give you that luxury experience. We're going to make sure that we're holding your hand through the entire process. So that allows us to charge more. So that's really why the customer service focus has been there.
So you said something interesting to me. You said deliver on the promises is what you do. And then you said the training is something you didn't want to get into and stuff at the scale level. So I mean, that's my whole forte is scaling and getting it to where you do stay in the parameters of delivering on your promises. That's exactly what I do, is making sure that the promises and we've never talked about it like this. I'm using your terminology. And it really does come down to, I think a lot of why people stay and can't scale bigger is because they don't know how to train to make sure the promises can stay stable, right? And I mean, I'm running a $4 million company, and other than the last week, which we just got done talking about, we were on scale to do 5.5. We'll see how that goes this summer. But we have 45, 6 people. I mean, and there is definitely a difference between my 45 people today than what I had, let's just say 38 people 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. The people and the SOPs and I'm not big on writing SOPs. Our SOPs are our culture. Of course, we have our written ones that are in the handbook, like what time you clock in and, can't poop on the clock type stuff when you first get there, things literally, things like that. We have all that, but then everything else is, we actually have when you clock in, you better be on the road within 15-minute rule. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a larger job, you have 30 minutes. And if it goes over that, David, who tracks it, will send an email or at least notify the management that this guy didn't get out, and management will this is the system. They have to respond to David on why it is. And if they don't know why, we got to find out why. Generally, it's because it was a big job, and we've nipped that in the bud now. It used to be where people were pooping and talking and coffee and smoking cigarettes and, lollygagging around. Well, they weren't told. They were always told to be there at quarter to the time they're supposed to be there. So essentially 8:45, we schedule every job at 9. So they're supposed to time their day to be able to drive to where they're going to be there 15 minutes early. And that allows for if traffic occurs, or anything else, kind of put that into it. But we started to see this a few years back. Now we started to see how a lot of guys are showing up at 9:30, quarter to 10, and then they're bitching that they're getting off late. It's like, we're getting off late because you're not showing up to work until this time, or you clock in at this time. Yeah, you don't leave for an hour and a half. That's on you, not us. And plus, that hour and a half, you probably did 10 minutes worth of work. So we nipped that in the bud. But I mean, when it comes to delivering on promises, I mean, to me, it's just obviously the right people, but you got to have the systems to make sure the promises can be kept. I mean, so let me get back to what I was saying. So the smaller you are, you're typically out of the operator mode, right? You're learning how to manage a business. And when you start learning or manage a business, you're going to go through trial and error, or you're going to hire someone like me, and you're still going to go through trial and error with your people. Because a lot of times you start working on your business, you're going to have to start trial and error your employees, getting rid of some guys and start bringing some new people in, or girls, whatever, that are going to fit the new culture. Because who got you here today are not who's going to get you to the next step generally. You got your core people that will, but then you got your different people. Like, if you're a 3 or 4 truck company and you want to be a 10 truck company, I would bet you 2 of those first 3 trucks you have won't be there when you have 10, because they can't grow with you. Those are the guys that you accepted and whatever. And when you start looking for people that will hold the promises up and start doing it, that's where, scaling is really just learning how to train and hire the right people. That's really all scaling is. Of course, you got to find you got to up your budgets and figure out how to get more business. But it's funny, you start having more people, better people. It's funny how organically your business starts to grow without spending any more marketing money.
Yeah.
And so, what's your largest company that you deal with? How much revenue are they doing a month or a year?
For the service company, is 1.4 million. So small.
That's the danger zone. That's the danger zone right there.
That is the danger zone. And that's when we're trying to scale this company. But again, we're also balancing the right people. And I already know that there's some employee changes that have to happen. And for me, it's difficult, but I know it's necessary, and it's okay, these are the things we have to do, and then we're going to move on. And especially it's my soft wash company, and it's because the average ticket is smaller, it's just more jobs, and there's more people. So there's a lot of moving parts to it, as opposed to my floor coating company where the average job is like $3,700. So it's like, oh, okay, this is good. One job a day, you can accomplish more revenue with less people. And then I feel bad. I know guys in the window washing business, and it's like their average ticket is like 83 cents. And it's like they have to do 76,000 jobs a day. And it is crazy. And I'm like, you are a ninja master. If you were to take all the effort that you do for that and move it into something that has a higher average ticket, you're less headaches. So
what is an average ticket for a window washing company? Because when I used to own one, and my average ticket back then was around $275.
I was about to say
this was in the 90s.
It's now closer to about $300 or $400.
Oh, it's not much different.
No, depending. And it depends on the market, but here it's about $400. We don't wash windows. It's not like Colorado where you got a lot of dust, or Dallas where you got a lot of dust and stuff like that. We generally Holland.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about that is you get more recurring work. So if you can do like quarterly window cleaning, route work, stuff like that, it helps. But again, you're dealing with a lot of technicians, less equipment. So there's balances, and it's home service is home service. And we've got investments in a bunch of different companies, all blue collar stuff. Our cabinet company, we've got a cabinet company that I'm working with. I don't own any of it, but I did the turnaround for it with some investors. And it's interesting to see, we were going into that blind. We've never owned a cabinet company, so we don't know. It's business. It really functions just the same. It's people, process, tools. And other than that, it kind of mechanically works the same. It's very interesting.
So like I've taken on a couple different type of industries as a coach, a consultant, whatever. There is no difference. Like I coach an SEO company. Now I know SEO fundamentals because I used to do my own SEO back when SEO first started being cool in the aughts, where you had to do it your business. But I like currently, do I know SEO? No, but I do know content's king and how to optimize your pages and all that kind of stuff. Well, I started coaching Hosio, who's who I also use, and they're becoming a huge company and really getting a lot of good results for people. And they're going through growth spurts. We've almost doubled their income since I started coaching with them, and which is a lot. But trying to get the processes down, it's been the same exact thing as if we're running a chimney company, or any other kind of service. So I coach a distributing company, same thing. It's still, I think the hardest part about any company is the not the promise to the customer, it's the promise to the employee to get them to where they can hold the promises to the customer. So I think and I was so guilty of this for, 23 years of not training my guys enough to where they could really make as much money as they could and do better for me. It was a half-ass training, I didn't have the mentality of figure it out yourself, but I had the mentality of, here's 101, call me when you have a question. So here's 3 weeks, get out there and inspect a chimney. If you're a crew member, I had my crew guys, I got my solid guys, and I still do this. You go out and you learn how to do it while you do the job, because that's just mix and mortar and doing all that kind of stuff, installing chimney caps, cleaning chimneys. I'm not going to put you through an office training for all that when you just go learn on the job for 6 months. And then if you're good enough, I'll give you keys, and then we'll, and then they still got to learn all the back and how to do the paperwork on the iPads. But when it comes to the sales and the inspection of chimney stuff, which is no different than if you're a salesman for a window washing, or, I know most of them are probably done over the phone. But I firmly believe if I owned a window washing company or a maid service, like our maid did this, she came out here, looked at the house instead of just quoting it over the phone. And if you owned a company like a window washing company or a maid's, you should have a salesperson, whether that be you at first so you can afford one. You should go out there and quote it before you go out there, and just concentrate on the sales. If you're a window washing company, are you doing screens and ledges? Are you doing them good? Are you doing chandeliers? What can you do the add-ons to make that, roughly $300 ticket, $500?
Yep.
The guy showing up to clean the windows isn't going to do that.
No.
You're going to teach him how to clean windows pretty good. Yeah. And then if he has to take pictures of the ledges, you're going to know damn well right away if he's doing them right. Yep. And so we had a window washer come 2 years ago at our house. I never could really figure out how to do the ledges, the corners where the little mud would stick in there. After I could never get them perfect. This dude, when he left, it looked like a brand new window. But his window washing was little to be desired. Like I saw streaks and everything, and I didn't really like the way his process, the way he did it. I'm a razor blade guy. I've never scratched a window using a razor blade. You can razor blade the pollen and the dust off easily, and without scratching anything, and the windows come out perfect. And this guy was not doing that. He was scrubbing them with it doesn't matter. Point is, if you had and he was his own business, he was a solopreneur. But if you were to go have 2 or 3 trucks washing windows, you should get out there and sell the job and like quote it a little bit, or we're just gonna have our guy come out and look at it. You probably schedule more. You go out there and look at it, even though you're going out for free estimates. The ones that you wouldn't schedule that you might have scheduled on the phone because you quoted them a price, you're going to get more money out of them because you're out there finding the things that the other guy's not going to do. So if you schedule 10 appointments in person, your average ticket, let's just say, is $450. And if you just quoted over the phone, you maybe scheduled 15, but your average ticket's $300. Do the math.
Yeah,
you're making more money with less work.
Money. And you're servicing less people. I always ask you, would you rather service 1,000 people at $100 each or 100 people at $1,000 each?
Right. Yeah, it makes total sense. Now we upped our prices big time a couple weeks ago, and now that we've hit this economy crunch, bad timing for the chimney industry, we put our prices back and maybe even cheaper than we were before, just for the next few months. And I did something I thought I would never do. I took out an ad on Facebook for a 90, and I know people are going to shit their pants when they hear this in my podcast, but I took out an ad for Texas for $99 chimney inspection, and that we were charging $325 on Friday. and now we're charging $99 for a camera inspection. And you know what? I don't care, because it's not about that thing. It's about the sale afterwards.
Yeah.
Cash flow. Right now, I just want a cash flow. I almost did it for free. I did. I almost did it for free. And so if that would get people to do it, not a chimney cleaning inspection. Chimney cleaning, they're going to pay money for.
Oh yeah. But the inspection guy shows up, sends a camera down or up or however you do it, and then he can talk to them. Now you got somebody that's face to face and can have a conversation and go, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, everything looks really great, except you really need to get this done, and here's why. I can get this done right now while I'm here for $475."
Yep. Well,
or whatever,
anything for $475
or whatever your
I know.
I have no idea what
our average chimney ticket is thousands of dollars. But matter of fact, I was just told it used to be around 1,700, and I think now we're at like just under $4,000. And so it ain't going to be like that right now. I would love it back to 1,700 to make cash flow right now. The bottom has fallen out, and so and we kind of like that every year a little bit. But this year feels a little stinky. It just feels a little stinky.
Yeah, it is. I think there's a couple contributing factors. One is this is the first year where people are going back to work. This is also the first year that more people are comfortable taking summer vacations. So they're spending their money there. So in 2020, 2021, people were spending a lot of money on their house because that's where they were. And there was nothing else to do. So they spent their money there. Plus they're getting all this free government money that's not going to cost the taxpayers a dollar. And and so that's dried up. Plus the price of gas is $73 a gallon, and and it's now we're starting to pay the piper for the past 2 years, so it's going to dip. But again, the best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago. The second best time is today. So if you haven't planned for how your business can handle an economic downturn, if you didn't plan for that, you didn't read up, now's the time to do that. So there's some things that you can do to help protect your business in an economic downturn. And one is things like the $99 inspection, because that's going to get the phone ringing, and you can then use that to lead to more sales. And then I'm sure at your ticket price, you probably are working with a company that can do financing for them at, so if you can go, hey, this really needs to get done, this can lead to $20,000 worth of damage. But if you get it taken care of and we can put it on some flexible monthly payments, then you can help protect that cash flow for you. And if you're not read up on how to protect your business from an economic downturn, I'm sure as a coach, you've got some things you can give your listeners. Here's a PDF or something like that.
I don't do PDFs, but I certainly show people how to, like I've talked in other podcasts and with my live shows, when I first hired David, my in-house CFO, we had maybe $10,000 in the bank, had like, I want to say 4 or 5 trucks on the road, had a little retail store, and we were probably back. We had probably about $40,000 of debt that was behind, not in debt. We were behind on bills around $40,000. So I actually put in place at that time, said, I don't care how bad we're in, to get us caught up. But I also want this amount of money put in savings no matter what. Take it out. It's the pay myself first type deal. When I didn't even know that was a thing, I just said, I don't care. Because if we're 40 in debt now, there's 40 in debt behind on bills now, it's not going to matter if we take $1,000 a month and slap it over here. Who cares? So we started doing that, and we built it up to around, before COVID money, to about $300,000. And my operating weekly expenses is, it's probably around $60,000. And so we have more than enough money for that floating through. I'm having huge anxiety the last few weeks watching, some money go down. I just spent 250 grand on a new property, which I just called my realtor and said, I want to sell it already. Because I found out that I was more comfortable in my mind with the cash than the asset. And so I don't know if I really will sell it, but I mean, I like seeing lots of money in the bank to be secure for what's going on right now. And so, I mean, I don't like to lay off either. I mean, we may have to this summer, but I don't like doing it. I would rather rotate people to where everybody can stay on and try to figure out that path, because, there's so much training in our business that I don't want to have to do that.
Yep.
And so, but I don't know what our future is for this summer. If I secure all the cash I need and everything else to make it to the limp into the fall, then I'm not going to try to lay off anybody. But we don't know yet. I don't know what the next 2 weeks of sales, 3 weeks of sales will happen. That's going to force us into anything. But again, as a business owner, you got to look at, how can I protect my people, but also protect, that are your assets, really, especially when it comes to, like, I'm not a window washer. My guys are highly trained in what they do. I mean, for home service, but there's not many home service business except for a plumber, electrician, and maybe pest control. And even pest control is not that hard. To be able, to go get your applicator's license and work under somebody. But in our business, it's not regulated, but it's not a 2-week process to get them on the road by themselves. It's months. At minimum, month and a half to 2 months, just to put out a fresh person that flew through the training and really showed promise, and you're still working with them. So, I mean, I would stop paying truck payments and, do that where you call it and say, I only want to pay interest for this month. And you can start playing all those. It doesn't hurt your credit type stuff, and do all that, and play the game where you can get your bills down a little bit during the bad time. And that's the kind of game we play. And it's all about just trying to sustain until we get busier. And I was looking at my QuickBooks P&Ls. And I don't look at them much because I always do a weekly report. I'm turning around. I'm going to start looking at my reports more because I started looking at stuff. And I had a meeting just before we got on with David, my CFO, and I cut around. What's the number? I have a number right here. I cut around $16,513 of cost a month.
Yeah. We call those thieves. Yeah. We call them thieves in the storehouse.
Yeah.
You have to look at your numbers. You have to look at subscriptions you're no longer using. You've got to look at insurance that you're no longer using, different things that you can go into your P&L and go, why are we paying for this? We have 2 separate subscriptions to do the same thing. We're not even using this one. We're not utilizing it. So you can find money. It doesn't matter whether you're doing $150,000 a year or $15 million a year. You've got crap in your business that you're paying for that you're not using.
Yep. Cut it. We actually went to this one that we've been paying $500 a month for. I've had them for probably 15 years. We went on there, me and David, about an hour ago, and we were trying to find the cancel button. They don't have one. So we had to go in there and put a fake credit card number in there to stop them charging us. It was crazy. It's like an online SEO type deal. We've been paying $500 a month every month,
Yeah.
and it's insane. And I don't even know what the hell they do, and so, yeah, but we put the new credit card in there and they'll stop. Obviously they'll stop. I'm sure I'll start getting emails, which I don't care. I got no contract,
Cancel this.
So, but even if you have contracts, or if you fulfilled most of it and you have to cut off at the end, unfortunately, you have to do it.
Yep.
I had to do it on a couple of little things I did have right now. It's just like, I can't afford it. It's just an expense. I have to not do right now.
Yep.
And so I will fulfill the contract. I just can't do it consecutively like you want it. And so I am good at that. I will fulfill my contract, but it may not be on the contract timing. And so it just is what it is.
Yep.
And so, but anyways, okay. So tell us about your convention.
Yeah, sure. So it's called the Huge Convention. We bought it in 2021, January 2021, and we held it in Nashville that August. It's always in August. It's kind of weird. I was an attendee for years before we bought it. Didn't even know you could buy a convention. Didn't know that was a thing. It's a legitimate, like, actual business. And so we bought that, and it's going to be in Nashville this year, August 17th, 18th, and 19th. We have about 1,500 people. We're expecting 1,500 this year. We had about 1,200 last year. And really, it's an education thing. You're going to pay $199. And that pricing is good for the next, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks. And you're going to get first-class education. We've got 2 general sessions where we're bringing in very, very powerful speakers. The theme this year is called Lead the Way. We're going to teach on leadership. So we've got really big visionary speeches that happen in the general session. And then we do breakout sessions that happen on the hour, every hour. Everything's included in that $199 price, but the breakout sessions are how-tos. And we've got 4 tracks. We've got a sales and marketing. We've got a business growth and development. We've got personal growth and development. And then we have an employee track. And so you can pick and choose which ones you're going to go to. You can't go to all of them, but then we do, if you want to get the video recordings of every session, it's like $100. So, I mean, for $300, you can be there and learn something that's going to deliver extreme value to your business. So when I was an attendee, I would come back, I would always pick like 2 or 3 things from that convention that I was going to execute on. And every year I would increase my revenue by at least $250,000 just by learning something there that I could implement. And it's home services. So it really covers power washing, window washing, epoxy flooring, low voltage lighting, like every company that I own, and then other types of home services. But like I said before, business is business. So you can go there and talk marketing and figure out like little things, or you can talk leadership, personal development. It doesn't matter. That really translates to what you're trying to do. And so we have that. Then we also have an expo, which is a lot of vendors that will, they're really subject matter experts. Like Dan Platt has got a booth there. So if you want to talk bookkeeping, you're like, look, man, my books are a mess. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know what numbers to look at. Can you help me? And he'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Let's jump on a call. And he can walk you through that. Or if you need equipment financing, or if you need vehicle leasing, or if you need insurance, or whatever kinds of things, and you just have questions, these people can give you advice. They're there to sell their product. But what I found is, even if I wasn't buying their product, I could ask them questions, and the vendors they're always so transparent and willing to share information that, especially when I first got started, I couldn't afford to spend, $1,500 a month on SEO.
Yeah.
But I talked to the guy and I was like, what kinds of things do you guys do? He said, look, I can't afford your service right now, but what are some things that I can do today? And he was like, hey, here's 3 things to do, and one of them was like writing blogs. And he's like, and just something simple, just use certain keywords. And do you do Google pay-per-click? Use those same keywords in your blog posts. And he just really walked through that. And I was like, boom. And it helped me. And then eventually I could afford a service, and I hired him to do the things that he was telling me about. So the vendors are really great. So it's 2 days of fun. It's at the Gaylord Opryland Resort, which is an amazing, amazing place. It's like this giant indoor thing. It's like, I think, 1 billion acres indoors, but it is such a cool facility. And it's in Nashville, which is one of the most happening cities. And it's 2 hours from everywhere in the country. So you can fly in under 2 hours, and the tickets are cheap. So it's a no-brainer. If you can't afford to stay there or fly there, there's a guy named Pat Clark, who now owns a multi-million-dollar service company. And he came to the convention years ago and drove there, slept in his van, paid the $200 for the ticket or whatever, and learned. And now he's got a multi-million-dollar company because year after year, he just came back and he learned from the people that are out there doing it. So that's my 2-minute elevator pitch on the huge convention.
I mean, it's always so funny. You come back with a stack of stuff from the convention. You got to pick and choose what you're going to actually do to get the value of it, but you're definitely coming back with value. I've never been to a convention where I didn't come back with some tip. One tip that altered something I was doing that made my company better. I mean, I go to the chimney conventions every year and the expo every year. And in the last 3 years, I've had a booth in all of them as well. And right. And it's like, so which one? It was the one in Vegas. I was kind of like halfway through it. I was like, I also had a problem with a couple months ago, still with COVID, trying to be able to walk around stuff. So I was like dead on Friday, the second day of the convention. And I was like, this convention has blown for me. This thing has sucked business-wise, not for fun or anything like that. I haven't gotten any value out of this. And I ended up having and talking to somebody later that day. And I just literally went, are you kidding me? That just made the whole trip. I got on the phone, called my company up and said, we need to do this and this, change this, that, and a little tweak. And we did it. And it's been working since. It's like, what? It's like, oh my God. That one, it may have cost me, $3,000 or $4,000 to go out there and stay and all the meals and everything you do. But I got to tell you, it was worth the $4,000.
It's sometimes it's just that one little thing. We also part of the Hughes, we also run a mastermind of like 30 or 40 people. And one of our things that we do is a $10,000 idea. And we implemented this in our cabinet company. We brought it to the mastermind to basically share with people. And it was a fuel surcharge on every invoice. And it was like, for the cabinet company, we had to do, it was $149, but it's like huge shipments. But I implemented that same thing in my soft wash company. And it was just a line item. It went in our proposals and it was like, hey, when the price of gas exceeds, I think it was $4 a gallon national average, we implement a $12 surcharge and a fuel surcharge on every ticket. And it just automatically gets added to the invoice. We've had 2 people complain about it, and we've added tens of thousands of dollars to the bottom line because we implemented that fuel surcharge. It's one little thing, and it made my trip there, all the worth it. So you'll find, like, just talking to people, these little things you can go, holy crap, why didn't I think of that? And now you've paid your admission in your beer.
It's truly about the who you know as well. And then you go to the conventions, you meet more people, you get to know more people. I mean, I've had 5 or 6, maybe 7 people from the convention that didn't know of me, but then I actually shook their hand and talked to them for a while, who have called me up and asked me tips. And one's now one of my clients. And so, you just don't know who you're going to meet and what it's going to do for you. And so I don't believe it. If you left any convention expo with not bettering your business, it's because you messed it up. It was on you. Yep. You just purposely tried to not do anything. And of course there's companies out there that go out and they all get shit faced and drunk and just have time. Sometimes maybe that's what you needed.
Blow up some steam.
But it didn't really help you out in the future, gave you a little vacation, but that just is what it is. So I guess I need to have you email me or text me over the information to put in the bottom here about the expo, because if anybody wants to get into it or come to it, we actually have our expo the week before that in Pennsylvania. That doesn't mean that other people who can't go to that one might want to go to something a little different. So but we'll do that. So anyway, well, Jonathan, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll get you all that information and put it in the show notes, how they can connect with me if they've got questions about, hey, I want to start.
Go ahead and tell them on here. Go ahead and tell them here, and then I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It's all just my name. So if you just search me or The Real J May, that's another name I use on social. So yeah, happy to help answer any questions, or just any way I can be helpful to your audience. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, guys. Well, that is all our time for today, and we will see you on the podcast next week.